heard throughout your life and others have said down through your childhood until your adulthood. Do not dwell on that. Do not focus on that. Replace it with something positive. The only way to change your life is to change your thoughts. And how do you change your thoughts? By replacing them with better thoughts. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I am beautiful and I love myself. And you may not feel that, but keep saying it and keep showing appreciation for yourself, to yourself. Once again, you're negative in them old beliefs that you've heard. You're not supposed to think highly of yourself, and you're not supposed to dwell on yourself, and don't be vain, and all of that is still coming from individuals who, at one point or another, have low self-esteem, have low thoughts of themselves, and they're trying to reflect it on you. Because no one wants anyone else to have confidence and know who they are, and then they don't. Like, that's hard for some people to see someone else confident, happy, vibrant, thriving, loving themselves, and they can't do it. Which they can, but they haven't taken the steps to do it. So that's why it's important, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any men listening, it's important to start with yourself. Love yourself. This goes deep into even relationships. People get into relationships looking for the other person to be something that they were not created to be that for you. You have to love yourself first. That's too much responsibility. That you want the other person to jump through too many hoops to try to satisfy and help you, when it's your responsibility to help yourself. That goes deep. We're going to get on that one day. But it starts with each individual person and their thoughts. As you think in your heart, so are you. Okay? So you have to know, you have to feel, and be happy and appreciative of who you are and who you were created to be. And once again, going against everything you probably have been taught or you probably have learned, you must put yourself first over everybody else in your life. You have to take care of you and your needs first. Yes, you have to be selfish, which is really you being selfless, because you can only help and benefit other people when you are your best self. Stress, anxiety, depression, all of that comes from people doing things and putting out from a lack, or from them themselves being having a deficit, or not being enough to give to someone else. You cannot give what you don't have. And when people are pulling and pulling from you daily, you can't, your body's not, your mind, you're not meant to take that. You have to be full first in order to be able to help someone else. You hear it all the time. People, oh, yeah, girl, she'll give you the shirt off her back, or she'll give you her last. But if that person who's doing that is not filled and complete themselves, they're doing more harm than they are good. You cannot give another person. You can't compliment another person enough. It will be a daily, constant, you will have to do it for the rest of your life, and it will never fulfill them because it wasn't meant to fulfill them. They have to fulfill themselves first. And then that's when it's really a compliment. You're complimenting each other. You're helping each other. You can't give what you don't have. And when you don't have it, you're constantly pulling from other people to try to get it, to try to make yourself feel loved, when the only one who can make you feel loved is you. And you're putting too much responsibility and too much heartache on the other person, and not taking responsibility for what you are supposed to be doing for you yourself. And that's where issues in families, issues in relationships. I can use an example with my relationship with my mom. I had to come to the understanding that I have to love me. I have to appreciate me. I can't look for my mom to do something for me that she hasn't even figured out how to do for herself. And so a lot of us are adults now, but we still look back and blame our parents. We almost 60 and 70 years old, still going back reflecting on what our mama and daddy didn't do, how our mama and daddy wasn't there. And that doesn't help. The only reason they couldn't and didn't, because they themselves didn't have what they needed. So they couldn't give it to you. Which, I'm going to be honest, was a good thing, because they don't have it to give, so they can't give it. People who give and yet still don't know and that's when that cycle of codependency starts. And so now you're dependent on, okay, they gave you, they did this for you, they did that. So now the next person who comes in your life, you're going to expect them to give. And when they don't, you're looking at them like there's something wrong with them, when it's not their job to do that. If every individual would love themselves and take responsibility for where they are, and take responsibility for their own thoughts and their own life and their own actions, or the lack thereof, this world would be a much better place. We wouldn't have none of the issues that we have. But it all starts with each individual person. We have groups and we have the organizations that we have because we gravitate and we attract those that are like us, who feel and think the same way. And so that's why we stay in that environment, because we're able to pull off of each other because we're in the same boat. When you elevate your mind, everything in your life is elevated, and you see things differently, and you understand why you are where you are. I cannot blame anything in my life, anyone else in my life, for what I have and what I don't have, but me. That is where I have come to grips with my life. And really, you think that if you take responsibility, but it's really a relief, because then you relieve yourself of looking to other people to do it for you, and then you give them the relief they need, and you can forgive them, which really, we don't even have to forgive people if we would stop looking to them for stuff that they could never give us to begin with. If we take, I can use examples, like I'm in a second marriage, so I had a divorce, right? Only when I took my responsibility for the life that I chose, regardless to the actions or lack of actions of the other person, I had to come to grips with me. I had to forgive me. I had to figure out what did and didn't. Everything in life that happens that don't go the way we thought it should have went is still a blessing, because it shows you then what you thought you wanted in life versus what you really wanted in life. Okay? But more people than should, instead of doing that, we then stay in that negative, repetitive cycle, and we continue to blame the other person or repeat the cycle of what happened and what didn't happen and what they did and what they said and what they didn't do and what they didn't say. And so we keep playing that same song over and over and over, year after year after year. Every time someone else who is in that same type of wavelength comes in, girl, what happened? What did he do? You tell them that story, and you're repeating it over and over and over, and that's keeping that vibration alive. That's keeping that active. And then you're the next person who is keeping it active. And then you go and you're going through life. You're thinking you're thinking you're moving on. You're thinking things are going, because you're still living. You're daily getting up. You're going to work. You're meeting people. You met somebody new. But then that same vibration, that same action is still active in you, and now you're with someone else. And men, this goes for you too. You're with someone else, but you're still in that same wavelength. They say, a different face, but you're in the same place. A different home, but you're in the same situation. Because you have not changed. You brought that same negativity, that same lack, that same fear, whatever it is you were dealing with in the last one. Just because you left it don't mean that you're free from it. And my grandmother, my Gigi, I called her, she would use this with parents and their kids. When the kid was in school and they were always going to the office, or the teacher was always sending notes home or whatever, and then the parent would say, I'm just going to change your school because them people, they just crazy and they don't like you. And or the kid was always getting in trouble, or The grades wasn't good.